Welcome back to Copa America. If you guys are watching the VODs of this, you haven't missed a darn thing. If you're watching this live with us, we had a bit of downtime, but now we're back in action and ready to rock and roll. Spawning here in the top left corner of the map, he's tied up now 1-1 with his opponent. It's the red Terran player, Windy, better known as Major.
The bottom right, as the blue Zerg, it is JonSnow.
Alright, so one of the issues we had prior to this, guys, there was a bit of lag, admittedly, coming from the servers. What was really cool, though, was Blizzard looked into it. They said there's okay to good now, and that should be no more issues. So our fingers are crossed that something doesn't crop up, that someone didn't leave a 1 where a 0 should have been, and have everything go to hell again. But so far, so good. Knock on wood. So King Sejong Station has had some interesting dynamics to it. I think when this first came out, I know you and I were really obsessed with this cliff, thinking that the Reapers would be just this dominant, constant 888, and we did see that for the first like 2 weeks of King Sejong being out. But now that it's been out for a while and players have played on it, I think a lot of people have gotten used to it, and it's kind of fallen out of this automatically wins category.
You still see some people use it, the rock ledge that is, but as I've said before, it's dangerous because if you don't have an exit strategy for the left side, then you have to wait a long time to start harassing the front like you normally would.
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous to consider that there's actually, with those rocks blocking, nowhere to jump back up all the way around the base to come completely around the other side. But neither of these players is open with cheese, and that's good news for us.
Well, it's not lagging anymore.
Well, if we're going to be honest, I don't think the lag is what dictated a one base all in.
Yeah, no. I think that was revenge for the first game.
I know, that almost seems to be the trick, doesn't it? Like, we always talk about mentalities for players, but honestly, a lot of the time, that doesn't mean anything, but a little tit for tat sometimes never hurts, and it did even up the series, so pays off in the end. It's worth noting, Major he was very vocal about saying that he felt he could have held that had there not been lag. And I don't really necessarily agree with that or not, but he is kind of the king of, if you remember, when there's a whole 6-pool debate versus Terran, Suppy versus the Muslim and all that, Major was like, no, you can absolutely hold if your command center dies, do this, do that. So he's been on the, I don't know, the cutting edge of battling defense for quite some time.
He said exactly what I had mentioned, that he had the buildings down, but they were misplaced. He didn't say that like quote by quote, but that's what he said. So it was a case of literally like he was about to put down the secondary wall, he was ready to put it down, and something was misplaced that he couldn't fix because of the lag.
Well, regardless of whether that's the case or not, we find ourselves here in Game 3. And Reaper's coming in here. Will scout, no gas being taken at the moment. Now, this doesn't really mean anything TVZ. If you see the ZVZ, you're like, oh boy, it's going to be a speedling all-in, watch out. But TVZ, it's a different story altogether. He will know that there's a 6-minute timing-ish, where you don't want to get out of, where you want to get out of the base.
Yeah.
I'm surprised JonSnow's chasing so much off a creep, though. Should really just be falling back, letting his links heal, because he's got to know there's another Reaper coming.
He keeps all of them alive somehow. Loses a Reaper, or loses a drone in transfer.
Lost 2 drones in total, so perhaps not the best lings. They might be alive, but the things they're meant to protect aren't. Ooh, Major's getting quite a few worker kills out of this now, up to 3. Not too shabby. He'll kill the lings here probably, and of course it'll be the queens here to defend, but another drone going on the ramp. Oh boy.
Should stop that, I think.
Yeah, we've seen this not just, like, not to make fun of JonSnow, the North American, but we've seen Koreans do this too, where they just, I don't know, either stubbornly or relentlessly try to rally drones to another base while Reapers are around, and it costs them quite a few, and I've seen that kind of happen here.
I don't think people who don't play Zerg don't recognize the convenience of it. You have your perfect saturation on your main base, so of course you're going to transfer it to the natural or transfer your rally line, because I think it was actually proved that instead of mainarding or transferring drones to your natural, it was better to just rally the drones to the natural.
Interesting
fact of the day. So
yeah, I know there's a lot of weird mining facts a lot of people don't know. Penguin was telling me too about how it's more efficient to long distance mine when you've got a certain amount of drones than it is to actually put another base down or something like that, like until you can afford the third. There's like just lots of weird little things in the game. Now, don't quote me on that one because I'm very poorly remembering what he told me, but It's just all the subtlest things that people don't seem to realize. Same things with mules. Like, a non-Terran player probably doesn't know the importance of the faraway mineral patch versus the close mineral patch.
We have roaches on the way for JonSnow. This is 7 so far. He could add 1 or 2 more. Looks like he won't. He just have the larva on the money. But it's still going to be that attack. You are... Okay, yeah, it's 1 more. There you go. You go ahead and attack the bunker, try and get some SCV kills. Maybe you completely get unnoticed as well if you're trying to check your third. Major does scout with that Reaper.
Both Reapers get annihilated. Reaper's also going to go down, or sorry, the Helling's also going to go down if not careful, but double engineering base, part of the wall. Really nice move here. They're cheap, they're much more effective than supply depots, and they've got way more health. Double the health and then some. Major preparing for this hold against some sort of bust. After seeing a Baneling bust in game number 1, though, who can blame him? I mean, this is not really an overreaction, but he does need at least 1 bunker here.
Right, which he didn't have because he did decide to wall off completely without a bunker. One of the it's one of the bad things about doing that is if you don't scout the roaches coming, it could be it was on purpose apparently. This isn't gonna do anything. The bunker, well, okay, it kills the supply depot, that's cool. The bunker will be enough to hold and with any repair whatsoever.
The key thing was Major getting those Marauders out. I think they were a little bit delayed to what you would see, like rushed Marauders, quote unquote, but they were out in perfect timing to deal with this. Wodamine's going to go down here as well. Might not do a lot to the Roaches, but it's again the Marauders that are meant to hell, not the Roaches, not the Wodamine's, not the Hellions, and certainly not what lacks Marines.
Major right now has probably decided that it is in fact not going to be a Roach Baneling all-in. It was just that Roach attack, although the Lings that usually see defending against Hellions came along with it, and feels comfortable pushing out, checking the third, getting his third probably in the next minute.
Ooh, that's going to sting a little bit. Loses 2 of the Hellions here. Normally you lose Hellions back, say, a month ago, and it wasn't a big deal, guys. But of course, let's not forget, with the new change, you want to have Hellbats available for follow-up pushes. Losing the Hellions for free, not something you really want to do. But chipping away at the engineering bay like this, it's gonna need to repair it. Of course, this is the flaw, guys. We have the benefit of these much beefier, sturdier walls. It's also a wall that you can't let fall. Depots explode? Nah, whatever, just build more. Engineering bays go down, you lose your 2-2.
It's not something we usually see become a problem, but as we saw, it might have been, like, if Major had not only, well, if Major had taken any damage, you know, had a tough time defending, and just now starting to, you know, feel confident in taking his natural again, those engineering bays would have been, you know, one of the things that JonSnow targeted.
I like this too. This is a subtle little thing, but the bunker here in the back, this also holds in case the first 2 fall, but it also helps cover against the back rocks had those been knocked down as well.
It's a good precaution. That is probably a common tactic. I mean, we see people trying to abuse that all the time.
Oh, annoying little Ling here is going to need to be cleaned up. Because, as we've talked about before in the past, you can't kill a Sargling with a building. That would make too much sense.
There is literally a comic where it talks about this, and the guy turns to the other guy and is like, you know, oh, hey, a gold base, let's take it. Oh no, there's a Ling here. And the guy looks at him, he's like, well, why don't we just squish it? And the guy, like, pauses and says, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Must be from PETA or something.
I don't remember.
Well, Banelings are lit up here on the nice game heart thing that we have going on, so nice, bright, and noticeable. John's now looking to play that more standardized style of Zerg we're used to seeing, not going for the Roach Hydra newness, the flavor of the month, so to speak. But, of course, Roach Hydra, it's got its place, but I'm a big fan of Banelings and Zerglings on this map.
Yeah, I don't like Roach Hydra on this map. We saw it once recently, did not work out whatsoever. I know Jaedong did it once, and I think it's the biggest match, and I don't think it worked out very well that time as well.
Would have really liked to see the army down a little bit earlier. Could have got some Hellbats with this push accompanied with it, would have been really nice, but it's on the way, the armory that is. He's going to have a couple Hellions for this, but Major just doesn't have a lot of power in this pushing force. I mean, this is a very weak looking Terran army, I'd say. Without combat shields, yeah? Oh wait, never mind, they just kicked in. Never mind,
okay.
I'll take that back.
Counterattack at the third will force Major to pull his reinforcements over, but he still has some joining up that main army. And again, as long as the mutas aren't out, which they won't be, they were late, they were delayed, he can pick up what he can, which won't be the entire Bioforce. Bad for some of those Marines, I suppose. Decides not to go for it.
Well, centrifugal hook's now kicked in, Banelings become more and more viable. It's worth noting, guys, Major's got to make this really awkward wall off because he's not taking the refinery. I don't know why he wouldn't just take the refinery. It just seems like it'd be easier, more beneficial, but Whatever.
Easier to snipe from mutas, I suppose.
That is true. It's a weird dynamic on this map only, where that refinery constitutes the full wall off or not, but gets a nice round on the Hellions. This is going to buy him a little bit of time here. Marauder's soaking some of those Baneling hits, but here come the Widowmines getting involved. Bit of friendly fire goes off, but not enough to really stop Major in his tracks. More Marines coming from behind this, and there's still a lot of Banelings left alive. JonSnow needs to start morphing in round 2. There we go, 6 on the way. It's the biggest problem trying to fight Bio if you don't constantly have round 2 of Banelings behind you. You're always going to wipe out the main army with your first wave, but if you don't have that second one good to go, you're not going to take on that army, especially off of creep.
Sometimes I see Widowmines, and I think they're gonna get great hits because Zergs just, they don't have to split anymore, and then they kill the one Ling out in front and 10 of your Marines, and I'm just like, please.
Yes.
At one time, when they were really popular and they were definitely being used, this should clean this up. Is when I thought people were starting to try in targets with the Banelings. Wow, what happened?
None of the Banelings went off on anything relevant.
Yeah.
Most of them were kited, the other half were taken up by the Widowmines, and this goes from an easy hold to a very difficult engagement. JonSnow really down in supply now, and he did not kill much, if anything, of Majors. This actually might end up being game right here. This should have been an attack that equalized, not something that dominated.
JonSnow was always down by 30 supply, so Major was always in a good position. I just thought he was going to hold for a little while longer. Apparently not. Apparently that was the killing blow, that was the killing force of Major.
Yeah, JonSnow's got no Banelings behind this. He's trying to morph a couple on the ramp, but that's desperation right there. If these medevacs weren't here, maybe this would be a different story, but good game well played is called, or played well is called. Either way, Major will actually keep us on track as we move into the next funnels that we'll be having up here.